Welcome, my brothers, to the beginning of the end. In today's chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, we witness the likely conclusion of this peak fight in the Tomb of the Star and start to see the culmination of Star and Oil. Absolutely beautiful chapter. Gege's paneling, the background, the scenes were well worth the hype, and some extremely important details have been revealed that somehow leave more and more questions to be answered. So let's dive straight into this epic conclusion. We start off kind of scary as Yuki is in critical condition, Chozo is worried, Yuki is worried, and Kenjaku proved himself to be 10 steps ahead with his technique use. And like I feared before, Kenjaku is not going to give Yuki time to recover. But the starting section of this chapter is very solemn, and sadly, we can already get clued in and see the fate of our characters as we see a bit of a flashback. Chozo and Yuki are residing in Tengen's Sunyata, and in this instance, Tengen created a relaxing bar/pub. And we have a nice moment here where our characters really are just on some kind of date. Tengen has made a bar, he has drinks. Yuki and Chozo are in formal wear. It's actually really wholesome seeing them together like this. They talk about the future, more importantly the future of Chozo and his brothers. Obviously there is some insanely heavy death flags from the both of them, but for Chozo, he still has a purpose. He still has Yuji and his siblings to look after, to uphold as the oldest brother. And Yuki doesn't want Chozo to die in vain. Chozo asks Yuki, "Am I human?" And that's interesting because it's calling back to the origin of obedience arc, and Chozo, Iso, and Kechizo chose sides. No, rather, Chozo decided to live as curses because being humans is likely harder as half-breeds. Even though they are no way weak, having monstrous bodies, society would definitely treat them as outcasts or worse. So as curses, Chozo resorted to helping the other curses and killing humans. And in Shibuya, we can definitely see Chozo killed a lot of innocent people. I always wondered if that would ever come back in the series or if that would ever bother Chozo since he switched sides, and now we see it hurts him. It hurts not only because he killed countless innocents, but because the path Chozo went down led to his brother's death and suffering, so Chozo blames himself. If Chozo were to go down the hard road of living as humans, then his family never would have killed each other. So Chozo is hurting from that. And I honestly never thought this cursed womb identity would be explored, but it hits so hard seeing Chozo regret his actions. It's just real. He wanted the best life for his family, but just ended up making life even harder. There's a possibility the brothers were even fated to fight alongside one another, but Yuji was left alone due to the choice Chozo made. Yuki makes a strong point that if Chozo dies, then Yuji really would be left all alone. But Chozo doesn't feel fit to live alongside Yuji after he took so much life. And what a powerful moment. Chozo just gets better and better with each passing chapter, and this chapter really showed his regret, his imperfections, and his love and unwavering soul to do what must be done for his family. But things do work out differently. This was a very heartfelt scene, and honestly it means a lot that Yuki Tsukuma was here to listen and comfort Chozo as a friend, maybe even more than that. This Chozo Tengen Yuki dynamic is very interesting. I really do love the vibe Gege is setting off here. So back to real time, Chozo wants to give his life, give all his life for the cause. But before he can do that, Yuki has a heart-to-heart with Chozo and says her piece. "Chozo, right here, right now, you have died as a curse, so live on, this time as a human." And we see that Tengen has escorted Chozo out of the barrier and saved his life despite Chozo's wishes. However, Yuki has in turn been ripped apart by Kenjaku and is literally mutilated in half. It's terrible. So then we get a moment where Kenjaku is victorious and Tengen stands to the side, blankly staring at him. Kenjaku realizes a similarity and finds it funny, asking Tengen, "What's with that face? Is that what you wish to look like?" So it's almost as if Sukuna and Tengen share a similarity. They are both ascended sorcerers, seemingly beyond human and curse, so it's shocking to see their connection hinted more and more in this cursed world. But snapping back to reality, Tengen's purpose was to distract Kenjaku, and in a mesmerizing display, Yuki puts her will, her power, her strength into a final move in her dying moments. At first, Kenjaku is annoyed, taunting Yuki to die as a human, but quickly things get insanely dangerous as Yuki's technique plummets into density that truly lives up to the wrath of the star. When Yuki adjusts her mask, it doesn't affect her, but that's only up to a certain density. So with this infinite density that surpasses the limits of Yuki, she has created a phenomenon of immense catastrophe. A black hole, an occurrence of space-time where gravity is so great that light and matter cannot escape its immense mass. In Gege's example, it said one could be created by compressing the Earth to a diameter of 2 centimeters, wherein that compacted mass distorts space-time. Yuki has used her very life to catch Kenjaku in the middle of this black hole. Her last words taunting Kenjaku's gravity of thinking too small. Gravity, mass, time, it all boils down to this. The destruction extends to the Jujutsu campus area, with its mass ever increasing before it suddenly stops. In the aftermath, Kenjaku is still kicking. He's roughed up a bit, but he's surprisingly okay. When questioned by Tengen, who theorized curse technique reversal, Kenjaku revealed the gravity he used is the curse technique reversal. The true curse technique was inherited by his previous host, Kaori Itadori, derived as an anti-gravity system. Kenjaku used his body as a domain to raise the technique's lapses limit on the activation time and the unsteady output. The fact that Kenjaku had the ability to do this in the presence of a real black hole with the potential to destroy the planet is mind-boggling. Yuki's self-destruct was held back by Yuki's will and Tengen's barrier to mitigate its impact on the world, but it certainly gave Kenjaku a scare. So he got to see an interesting sideshow before the main event, regarding that it almost makes up for Tengen's boring life. To end the chapter, Kenjaku reaches Tengen's real body, saying, "Farewell, my friend." The next chapter preview being in the hands of a one-time friend, Tengen falls. So, wow, Yuki Tsukumo seemingly has perished. It's a bit of an early death, but that's insane. If you doubt Yuki's death, she actually mentioned her technique affects her past a certain density, and an entire black hole certainly fits that criteria. That was a self-destruct. Yuki was already ripped in half and put her entire soul into that final glorious attack. To me, there is undoubtedly more closure that needs to be said with Yuki. She just deserves more than that. But seeing this sacrifice really just showed me that her chances of survival is like the lowest it could possibly be. I can't even sugarcoat it. Yuki is probably dead. I want more from her, but I'm also impartial to her role in the story as a character. I do trust Gege's judgment because I already knew Kenjaku would succeed in one way or another, but Yuki's death seemed to be part of that. It's kind of crazy that Kenjaku made her sacrifice slightly in vain, but you already know Kenjaku is him, and he's got that plot armor manipulation. He's the main antagonist. He just needs to move on. So I'm really not surprised about that. What I am surprised about is that Kenjaku inherited Kaori Itadori's ability being anti-gravity. Obviously, this woman is who Jin Itadori's late wife is and Yuji's mother. Kaori is a sorcerer who had this OP anti-gravity technique, So Kenjaku used that power and performed Curse Technique Reversal. So this is the only other example of Curse Technique Reversal we've seen besides Gojo's Limitless. If you didn't already know, Curse Technique Reversal is when a sorcerer imbues Reverse Curse Technique into a Curse Technique power to achieve an inverse/opposite effect. Gojo used Technique Reversal to inverse the infinity of Blue Lapse, the pole, to create a new infinity of Reversal Red, the push, only granted through the use of Reverse Curse Technique. So how cool is it that we have another example of this phenomenon? But it's more cool to me that Yuji is actually the biological son of a sorcerer, not just through Kenjaku. So now we definitely deserve more context on Yuji's backstory surrounding his birth and even Kaori's involvement and Kenjaku's involvement. But this honestly feels like the beginning of the end. Kenjaku has now reached Tengen's real body, so anything can happen. As soon as Tengen is absorbed, marks the beginning of when the world will end. So it's gonna be exciting seeing how all of this takes place. But before that, I really thoroughly believe we probably will end up being in some kind of backstory/flashback arc. As soon as next chapter even, Tengen has deep, ancient ties to Kenjaku, and this is probably, like, to me, the single most interesting plot point thus far in the entirety of the Culling games. There is an untold story about the evolution of Tengen as well as Sukuna, and we could find out real soon what their relationship is, being that they have lived during the same era. Tengen, Sukuna, Kenjaku, even someone like Angel, there is a connection and a story of evolution, betrayal, death, and rebirth of these ancient ones, and we really have to uncover it. There's a theory about Sukuna and Tengen for every grain of sand in the sea, so please, Gege, give us lore. So we are now at a point in the story where Kenjaku has reached Tengen after 1,000 years. Yuki is presumed dead, Chozo lives for a future with his brothers, and other groups of sorcerers are fighting unthinkable odds, forming unlikely team-ups, and surpassing their limits to end this nightmare transcending the ages of time. What is going to happen? The story has reached a level where the only certainty is uncertainty. A storm is approaching in Jujutsu Kaisen, events that can lead to the evolution of humanity and cursed spirits. So let's see how all this world of curses unfolds. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are amazing. I have a lot more to say, but I'll have to save it for follow-up videos soon. Jump will be taking a holiday break, so no chapter next week. Gege is definitely cooking up a storm for us, and I cannot wait. So share your comments down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. This has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome guys in the next one. Bye-bye.